Seriously. All right. Looks like we're
Oh,
live. Hello, everyone. We
hello.
are Cape
Hi.
and Cowl. This is the Infinite Awesome Cape and Cowl Book Club show. Nice work. I am Cody, aka the Mutant Menace. This right here is
Aton. Just Aton. I need a nickname. If anybody watches this and is willing to assign me a nickname, I need it.
not a fan of Atron after all.
Oh, I forgot about Atron. Atron's pretty good. Yeah, Atron's good. Next time, Aton. For sure.
All right, cool. Well, how are you? How are you doing this evening?
I'm good. I just watched an hour of American Ninja Warrior with my kids.
Oh, those are exciting.
They love it. Yeah, it is pretty exciting too. Yeah, all in all, good. Ready to talk about some books. I've got a cool pile. How about you? How are you feeling?
I'm good. Yeah, those are the kind of shows that make me truly feel useless, though.
Yes,
Like,
they make you feel lazy.
I get winded chasing a bus, and I'm like, wow, cardio is a thing I need to get back into.
I've been inspired though. I'm just like, I'm gonna get rid of this pile of comics over here, and I'm gonna get a home gym going.
Excuse me, the owner of a comic shop.
I know, but I need somewhere to like put comics on top of, like a bench,
Okay.
seat. Like I could stack more comics there.
Yeah, that's okay then. That's the funny thing. I always feel like a contradiction reading all these superhero books with these super physical feats, and like it feels so silly to even judge the books for anything because I'm like, well, I got up today.
Like I'm not even trying.
But yeah, I'm good too. This is the show that we try to do weekly where we talk about some books that we love and have loved and want you to love too, which is very exciting. We get to explore some of the backlogs of our what's the word, repertoire of reading.
Yeah, that's a good word.
It is a good word. Thank you. So yeah, I guess we'll get started. I guess I'll go first since you went first yesterday, I believe.
I wanted to give two warnings though.
Mm-hmm.
One, there might be some spoilers. I know I'm talking about some stuff that's been out for a while, and if I think the best way to tell you about it is to spoil it, I'm gonna do it. And you can, if it's something you haven't read but you're interested in, maybe like plug your ears and la 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 la, or if you're watching it later, pause it and come back or something. So we might have some spoilers. And the other thing that Cody and I have been talking about is like, we're gonna get real. We're gonna get real. If there's something that we don't love, we might say it. We don't want you all reading the bad stuff, and we read a lot of stuff, and we can't say that everything is amazing. So if we poo-poo on something and it's like your favorite thing, apologies. Shout out in the comments and be like, "Hey, screw you! You don't know what you're talking about," and we'll probably be like, "Okay, sorry."
Yeah, because we're about to stop being polite and start getting real. This is the true story of one comic shop picked to have a YouTube channel and have their opinions taped.
Why isn't that the intro to this every time?
The real world, Cape and Cowl. Awesome. Yeah, good point though. We tend to shy away from like plot elements because we want people to read it, but at the same time, that doesn't really make for a very entertaining show. And part of this, believe it or not, we are wanting to entertain people. So we're going to kind of get a little bit more into the nitty gritty of stories, I think, which will be fun because it's easier to talk about when you're less fidgety about it.
Totally. So yes, you should go first because I did go yesterday. I mean, it went really well after I went first, so I don't know why we're messing with the formula, but you go ahead.
No. It's kind of true. I feel like a dud after it sometimes. Like, well, the best stuff's been said. Just kidding. My taste is superior. And with that said, I'm going to talk about a little collection. It's been out for a long time. I think it went out of print. It's recently back into print. It's a very slim trade, a quick read. This is called Avengers, Vision, and the Scarlet Witch. I wanted to highlight this book because there's a lot of buzz and hype going around for the new Scarlet Witch and Vision TV series coming out on Disney+. The show looks excellent. It truly looks as weird as they've been trying to make us believe it is. It looks like it's kind of like a love letter to Golden Age television through kind of like, the superhero wacky lens. And I wanted to highlight this book because this is a great primer for anybody who wants to get a better understanding of these characters and their relationship. This story features their wedding. It opens with their wedding, which, as you can imagine, for any superhero story, doesn't go as everyone planned. And from there, it jumps into when they move out together into, I think it's New Jersey. They quit the Avengers and they want to live a quiet life. Now, if anyone's read any superhero book ever, that does not work. Once you're a superhero, that's it for you. That's your life. You can't really be fully happy. So the hijinks that ensue, the first issue in this is great because it's Halloween. It opens with like a spooky theme. There's a bunch of kids who are trick-or-treating. The trick-or-treaters inevitably become possessed by ancient spirits. So Vision and Scarlet Witch are right back in the saddle fighting like evil spirits and stuff. But this is a great primer for getting to know who these characters are. And by the end, actually, in one of these issues, I believe it's Vision and Scarlet Witch number 4. It's a 4-issue series collected in here. And in the last one is actually the first time in the 80s where we found out that Magneto, at the time anyway, was the father of Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. That's one of the things you find out in this book. That's an awesome kind of milestone issue. It's been retconned. We choose to ignore that. As far as I'm concerned, Magneto's still their dad. But it's great.
So, pause. What was that? Was retconned? Magneto's not their dad?
You didn't know that?
No.
Yeah. So that happened in what was Remender? It was Uncanny Avengers, which was a Remender book, but I'm trying to remember if he was behind writing it. But yeah, it was a story where you find out that it was just like genetic altering via the High Evolutionary, who does play a heavy role into their origin. Yeah, so it was kind of like genetic tampering and stuff. It's bogus. I don't like that.
No. I refuse to accept that. I am erasing that from my memory. You never told me that. Magneto is the father of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch.
I mean, there's a word for that feeling I just gave you. It's called denial, and that's the world I've lived in about this for ever since it happened.
Heartbroken. I hate this.
It's bizarre, yeah. But to give you a lowdown of kind of what you can expect in here, a lot of the writing is by Bill Mantlo and Steve Englehart, two kind of juggernauts in the 70s and 80s. There's a lot of art by Don Heck and Rick Leonardi, two more juggernauts from, Silver, early Bronze Age. It's just really fun stuff. It's classic Marvel. It has all the stuff you look for in a Marvel book. There's bickering, there's the familial ties, and it's action-packed, and a great way to get yourself stoked for Vision and Scarlet Witch. And if you don't mind, actually, this is kind of a twofer, because I had to mention Tom King's Vision.
Oh, thank God.
If we're heading into a show where Vision and Scarlet Witch are trying to live normal lives and be a family, and how that can be really dark and weird and get haunting really fast, this is Vision 101. Scarlet Witch doesn't play a huge role in this book. She does appear because she's such an integral part of Vision's history, but this mostly Vision trying to settle down and once again separate from the Avengers to a certain capacity, live in suburbia with his nice, android synthezoid wife and their synthezoid kids and their synthezoid dog, and all the neighbors think it's so strange and turn up their noses at them. But it's a great series written by Tom King with art by Gabriel Walta. Fabulous stuff that gets incredibly dark, incredibly quick.
It gets dark so fast.
Yeah, it really doesn't waste any time. Like, you see the kids trying to integrate in school. As you can imagine, that doesn't work out very well. And I wanted to show some of the covers because they really are designed perfectly to give you a hint of what you're in for.
Mike Del Mundo, right there.
What'd you say?
Del Mundo covers?
Yeah, Del Mundo.
Yeah.
But yeah, that cover always spoke to me and speaks volumes of the series. It's her sweeping the Reaper's body under a rug. It's very that. It's incredibly dark, especially for a mainstream Marvel book. It really goes there and will leave you haunted. I'll never sing Row, Row, Row Your Boat the same way again after reading this book. So yeah, great stuff.
I love that book shows the disconnect between Marvel publishing and Marvel movies or Marvel Studios, because they brought the Vision into the Avengers movies, and then Marvel does, they're like, okay, well, let's put a Vision comic out there. Let's get people excited for Vision. And like they introduced Vision in the movie, and he's very like stalwart and like, a superhero, and then they publish this Vision book that's like so dark and such a dark, really kind of twisted take on this character. It's actually one of like darkest moments that I've seen for the character. And not that I have like a long Vision, history myself, but I've always thought it was funny that they're like, hey kids, Vision, and then they put out this book to like support that. Cracks me up.
Well, it's kind of funny because like I'm a pretty big fan of Vision, and he is like a very somber character, actually. I mean, his colorful costume aside, he's always been pretty dang solemn because he knows that he doesn't really fit in, and he's always kind of wanted to fit in. Like he was very ambivalent about his relationship with Wanda when it started, just because he didn't believe it was possible. And there's that great panel. I think it's in a classic Avengers tale by Roy Thomas. I can't remember the artist, but it's my favorite Vision panel of all time. And it's just him looking so bereft. And the captions just say like, even androids ... can cry. And like, it's just him like walking away from the Avengers, like, woe is me. And it's one of my favorite panels probably ever. Like I had that as like my header photo everywhere for a long time. But yeah, Vision's great. And he always has had a sadness to him too. And I like that that's probably going to be explored in this like weird, quirky show we're getting.
Yeah. I'm going to read that vintage one that you showed there. Cause other than that Vision, the Tom King Vision, my only exposure really is in some maybe Avengers books, event books where he hasn't had the spotlight. So this was but that Vision, the Tom King Vision, like it got me right up to speed without doing like, this is the history of the character. It's just like, okay, I understand immediately. He's always wanted to be human. He's always wanted these human experiences. And now he's just going to do it. He's just going to make it happen. He's not going to like let it happen. He's going to do it. And for, maybe not obvious reasons, but clearly it's not going to go well. You can't do those things, even if you're a super robot.
Yeah, exactly. And and so many of the themes in this book too, just explore like, it sounds like it's selling it short just to say it explores like what it means to be human and what it means to be normal, but that's very much what it's tackling. And what makes them more strange than the Joneses down the block. And you'll be surprised to see how they do differ and how they're very much the same. So it's a really such a solid story. One of the best Marvel books that I had read in a long time when I read that. It's so memorable. I have the big old hardcover collection at home. I think we're getting some on the way, I think. But we have the paperbacks. We're going to have the hardcovers. So highly recommended. Not even just if you're hyped for the Vision and Scarlet Witch show, but just if you like good-ass comics.
100%. 100%. Okay. I'm going to go superhero also. It's actually the only superhero book I have in my pile, but
oh, wow.
And I know. For me, that's kind of saying a lot. But so I have recently read or reread The Green Lantern, Season 1, Volume 1, by the legendary Grant Morrison and local, like one of the nicest people I've ever met in comics, Liam Sharp, on art. And I originally read this when it first came out. I was extremely excited. Grant Morrison's one of my favorite writers of all time. I'm a huge Green Lantern fan, have been since I got into comics back when Hal Jordan went crazy and killed all the rest of the Green Lanterns and stole their rings, and Kyle Rayner comes in. And anyway, when this came out, I read the first handful of issues. I think I read exactly these 6 issues that are in here. And I had a realization that like the way that I read my weekly comics doesn't necessarily jive with how I want to read Grant Morrison comics. Because like, not that I rush through my comics during the week, the new releases, but I'm trying to read 15, 20 new books a week. So I'm reading them at a clip. But like I want to dig through some Grant Morrison stories because there's a lot in there. So this one, it's the main deal here is that Hal Jordan is being, and this is where we're going to get into a little bit of spoiler territory. Hal Jordan is, his mission from the Guardians is to infiltrate the Black Stars, which is a reinterpretation of the Dark Stars. Me and Mike Rowe here might be the only ones in town who know who the Dark Stars are, because they were like this cheesy, like low rent version of the Green Lantern Corps in the 90s. Donna Troy became a Dark Star at one point because they've never known what to do with Donna Troy. But in this one, they're the Black Stars, and they are they're evil. They're kind of like an evil cult, and basically, Hal has to disgrace himself so that to make it appear like the Guardians have cast him out, taken his ring, and he's like, "Well, I'm not done being out here in space causing trouble. And if you say I'm evil, fine, I'm evil. I'm going to go be a Black Star." And the first thing, when he goes to the Black Stars and he has to go through the trials, and his first mission, or the one that that's going to get him his Dark Star gauntlets and costume, is he has to kill Adam Strange. So he and Adam Strange have an old-fashioned duel. They like stand back to back with their space weapons, and they have to take 10 paces, and it's great, and it's it is a continuous story, but each issue kind of can be read as a standalone in a way. I mean, they're like issue 3 is about this alien is selling planet Earth and all of its inhabitants at auction. And all these different villains and alien races are bidding on planet Earth for their, nefarious things, and God ends up being the winning bidder. and then Green Lantern has to go confront him and be like, "No, God."
Doesn't it have that awesome cover where he's like, "You're under arrest," and like pointing at God?
Let me see if I can find this.
I read that issue. That was an awesome issue. I loved it.
Yeah. I don't think it shows the word balloon, but
I know.
So good.
And this is like the rare occurrence where I like the covers with the trade dress more, because all of these covers are like dialogue covers, and DC is so good at dialogue covers. Like they do it so much more than Marvel, and I love dialogue covers.
That's a Green Lantern punching a boxing glove to God's chin there. That's extreme. But I'll say also, Liam Sharp, not only just delightful, a delightful human being, but his art is so good, and he kind of came out of nowhere, but not really, but kind of for this. Like he was popular in the 90s. He did Death's Head 2, I think was his big book, and a bunch of other things. And like he's got, like, look at that cover. Like that's a 90s aesthetic right there. But this cover doesn't sell how wildly creative and detailed and weird and dark his art is. Yeah. It's phenomenal. And I don't know if it was again, I keep going to this God issue. So fucking good. And who knows who found him to be the artist on this. But it was perfect. And I know it's kind of revitalized his career, put him back on the map, getting to work with Grant Morrison. So if you are a Green Lantern fan, like myself, this is easily the best Green Lantern that's come out since the Jeff Johns, Peter Tomasi days. No disrespect to everything between. It just sucks compared to those two. Not really, but I've been trying to get Cody to. We've been talking about we're gonna get Cody reading some Green Lantern. Like this is inevitable, and he's like trying to resist, and it's not even.
I've read like half of that trade actually. When I was reading that when it was coming out in singles.
Oh, this one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think maybe read it in trade again. Like I really enjoyed reading it this way. I'm really excited to keep reading. I need to grab myself a volume 2 and keep going. It's just fun. It does what Grant Morrison does best. He takes Silver Age ideas or things that are totally thrown away or ignored forever. Like, I mean, I read maybe every Dark Stars comic that came out in the 90s, and I never thought I'd see them again. Never. Like, there's no reason I should ever see them again. And to be reimagined by this creepy death cult was pretty exciting. So, yeah, Grant Morrison, this is volume 1. There's 2 volumes to season 1. We're now in season 2. I think the first volume of season 2 is out, hardcover only, maybe. But yeah, highly recommend getting yourself some psychedelic Grant Morrison Green Lantern in your life.
Yeah, I'm honestly, the reason I stopped reading it in singles because I am similar when it comes to Grant Morrison. I prefer a good Grant Morrison trade, chunks of Grant Morrison at a time. He's one of those writers that, I can't just settle with a little piece by piece because his concepts are very heady and what he's doing is usually a tapestry in some way. And it just gets hard for me to read weekly, especially because we try to read things right away. And we're here in the evening and then we get home at night and we do our family stuff and we're with our people. And then it's super late. And then I'm not going to sit down at like 10 p.m. and read a Grant Morrison single issue. It's just not, it's not conducive to that for me anyway. I can do chunks of it at a time, but he's one of those writers. I love him. I'm absolutely enamored with Grant Morrison, but I got to do trades when it comes to him, I think. But I consistently feel like I'm missing out. It's FOMO every time.
Same here, because for me, like it's one of my favorite writers and one of my favorite characters. And the fact that it's not, a top of the pile read for me every time it comes out is kind of heartbreaking, but I'm going to read it in trade every time and I'm going to love it. And I'm going to be happy. And I will apologize to Grant next time we hang out.
Of course. Well, it's also one of those things too that you can just I see his name on something and I'll pre-order the trade without any hesitation. I just know that I will get around to reading it. So he's one of those writers for me for sure. But yeah, and I will say Green Lantern's one of the DC characters I do really want to get into. But yeah, we're gonna start dabbling because everybody knows half of my stuff is always Marvel because that's where I live. I'm the kind of person that's obsessed with continuity and I like to read and know everything. And I just can't do that with 2 universes. And so DC is stressful because I will instantly ask well, where's the first thing? Let me read the first thing. And it's not necessary, but in my brain it is. And I try to go back too far. Anyway, but yeah, I'm going to start reading a lot more DC soon. I'm making it a point to. I've been flirting with that idea for a long time. Thank you so much for pointing this out, Ruby. I completely forgot. Grant Morrison just recently came out as non-binary. So yeah, yes. I completely thank you so much for pointing that out.
If I let any he's or hims or anything slip out just then, apologize. Totally not intentional. Very happy for Grant to be out there as themselves. So that's great. But good call putting it out. Also, you said not to boss Cody around. Kind of my job. Kind of get off on it. So
that's true. Yeah, but I wanted to say too about Grant Morrison is it makes so much sense. I mean, Grant Morrison has always given me heavy queer vibes, at least non-binary vibes. So I'm so happy that they have kind of come forward and been like, hey, I'm glad there's a word for this now because that's where I live.
It's me.
Yeah. Cool.
Absolutely. What do you got next?
Yeah. So next I wanted to talk about, this is one of my favorite books ever of all time in the history of Everdom. And I wanted to bring it up because I realized I haven't talked about it yet on one of these shows. And I really think more people should know about this book, especially with the X-Men getting so popular again, this resurgence we're getting with Hickman's X-Men. This book occupies a very fun, very obscure, weird corner of X-Men lore. This is a book called X-Statix. This is by Peter Milligan and the amazing Michael Allred. This book came out in like the early 2000s. It came out around the time Grant Morrison actually was writing New X-Men, which is one of my favorite comic book runs ever. And this is an excellent companion piece because it's very much around that same time. Oh boy, X-Statix is one hell of a book. It's hard to even pick one place to begin, but I guess what I'll say is X-Statix was actually X-Force. At the time, this was like X-Force transitioning out of the 90s. The time had kind of passed. People didn't really care anymore. You had like, characters like Domino were on it. I love Domino to death, but at that time, X-Force needed something fresh and popping to happen. In comes these delinquent kids who are being treated like reality television stars, because in this little corner of X-Men history, these guys exploit themselves as mutants. The public very much finds them to be freaks, to be weird, to be the other. But this book asks the question, what if being a mutant wasn't really hated and feared as much as it was sensationalized and exploited? And it sounds like kind of a bummer to like have mutants exploiting themselves for the entertainment of others, but these guys, these characters, they love it. They live for it. These are kids who want nothing more than to be famous, and you meet them and they call themselves X-Force at first, and it's hilarious because X-Force has a problem with it because of like rights, and they don't want them to be called X-Force at all. But you meet great characters, like the leader is Mr. Sensitive. His power is that he feels things a lot, really
they
deeply.
Have the best powers. They're the most creative, weirdest, crappiest powers, and it's so entertaining.
Yeah, like it hurts. Like dust in the wind or like a small hair in the wind will hurt him if it hits him too hard. So he wears like this special suit to protect him. You meet a bunch of characters like Edie Sawyer, who's the team teleporter. This is where you meet Dupe. He's the little floating green guy. Can't get a good panel with him. But you meet Dupe in here. He's like the big one-eyed floating alien guy. Actually, he has two eyes. I always think he's one-eyed. He has two eyes. And he's like a playboy slash hitman slash cameraman that films their exploits because they essentially have a reality show. You meet characters like
his own language.
Yeah.
He speaks in his own language that nobody can. We don't get to know what he's saying. Nobody really understands, or some people do understand. It's kind of like Groot, like Rocket Raccoon and Groot. Like some people can interpret for him, but we don't get to know what it is.
Yeah. X-Statix, they understand him, and there's actually like an actual cipher you can look up, and you can translate every single thing he says by yourself. And often it's hilarious. He speaks very like yo, what's up kind of thing. Like he's totally like he's like super smooth, and like a total smartass about everything. But this book speaks to a very specific, it has so much cultural commentary. It actually deals with very, very dark themes as well. So it comes with some trigger warnings because it tackles things like addiction. It goes to some dark places. It tackles things like suicide. So there are a trigger warning with it, and it's very much like black humor. I mean, it's Peter Milligan. It's peak Peter Milligan. He's kind of like using his dark sense of humor to tackle these big heady themes and social commentary. You get one of the first characters you meet is this beautiful blonde man who his power is he can vomit acid and it'll burn through any substance. And his name is Zeitgeist. And to me, there's just so much to dig in with that alone, because he's like kind of a superstar. He's celebrated like a Brad Pitt of his time. And his name is Zeitgeist. Like he captures the cultural zeitgeist of the time. But the cultural zeitgeist of the time is regurgitating the same shit, like the same like acidic bullshit. It's just like, it's full of like really clever moments like that, and great characters like who come and go. Like the anarchist is a black hero who's on the team, and he's just like my favorite dude ever because like he beats around no bushes. There's a part where he fights Captain America and just gives him all kind of sass for just not fighting for the right reasons. There's Dead Girl who communicates with the dead. You meet Surrender Monkey, and his power is he knows how to surrender. He knows when to give up at just the right time. And that's literally his superpower. So it's full of like great moments like that. And I just think it's such a staple in X-Men history that doesn't get celebrated enough. I do want to show some art because it's all red.
it was hard to get for a long time. I mean, this edition here is the first way that you could read it for a while.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. God, that's so good.
And so this is part of the Nuff Said, like, you can't call it a series, but there was a time at Marvel in the early 2000s where they released several books across their line under the Nuff Said banner, and that was a chance to give artists the spotlight to do silent issues. There's no talking in any of these issues. It happened for the Defenders. The New X-Men had a Nuff Said issue. X-Statix had a Nuff Said issue. So it was like an artist spotlight, which is actually what was the giant size Emma and Jean that came out recently was an homage to Frank Quitely's Nuff Said issue for Marvel during New X-Men. So now I'm getting carried away, but yeah, it's a great, it's such a good book.
Can we spoil the first issue? I mean, it's like 20 years old. Can we spoil what happens in the first issue?
Yeah, so the first issue is X-Force 116. And yeah, so X-Force 116 introduces us to an entire new team of X-Force. We meet Zeitgeist and his team. We meet who's one of them? I think one of them is Gin Genie. Her power is that she's like super drunk and she can like make anyone feel intoxicated. And you meet this whole team of new X-Force kids, and they're gonna go fight this corporate entity that's selling the souls of the youth to like a boy band. And the boy band is called Boys R Us. And this is important because this day would end with the entire X-Force team terribly murdered. All of them are slaughtered by the end of the first issue. You meet all of them and you think that's your team and they all die. And it's forever known as the Boys R Us massacre.
And that's my favorite Suicide Squad trick. It happens in you're reading a good Suicide Squad comic when the first issue introduces you to a new team and they're all dead by the end of the end of that issue, and then you meet the actual real team.
Oh, exactly.
It's so good. And I'll say, because it's Mike Allred, it's not like you're seeing a gore fest. Like, it's still...
No, you are.
Well, but is it like bloody and like...
Oh, yeah.
Let me see.
This issue is actually historic because it was the first issue where Marvel actively said F you to the Comic Code Authority. They did things here that they were not supposed to be doing at the time. And I'll show you. It's Mike Allred being as gory as he can possibly be.
Shit.
It's insane.
That's not how I remember that.
No. It's quite graphic.
Oh, I love it. Oh, that was my Kevin moment for the day, where it's not that bad. It's not that gross. It's just giant cum monsters, bloody people torn in half. All right. I stand corrected.
So this was actually the homage that they paid in Deadpool 2, the live action film, where they audition for X-Force, and we meet a bunch of characters, including Shatterstar and some other people. And in Deadpool 2, they go out on their first mission and they all get killed. One of them is actually Zeitgeist. Bill Skarsgård, who played Pennywise in the new It movies, plays Zeitgeist in Deadpool 2. And he wears that telltale yellow visor thing over his mouth where he pukes his acid, and he gets like chopped up in it's like a wood chipper or something. Anyway, that's where they got that idea from. It was very much a nod to Peter Milligan and Mike Allred, which was, me in the theater just geeking out hardcore.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, excellent. It's so funny. It's so funny and it's so smart, and it's one of my favorite books ever. I'm obsessed with it.
I'm due for a reread. That's one I read as it was coming out, but I was like in college when that was coming out, so I need to read it as a chunk. Okay, my next one is one that I finally picked up recently after I started it in singles, and maybe it was like sellouts or something, so I didn't get a chance to keep going with it. But Money Shot from our friends at Vault Comics, which has one of the best premises. Best premise.
Premises?
It has a good premise. The idea of this comic book is good. This is in a very not too distant future. Very, like, I think it's like 2027 or something. And there's a very, if you can imagine, an anti-science government in place. Could you even imagine a government that doesn't respect and listen to science and care and fund and appreciate the people who actually know what the hell's going on? But the idea here is that you have these scientists and explorers who still want to do their research. They actually have built a spaceship to go out and explore in outer space, but they don't have any money. And the leader here in front gets the idea that she knows how she can fund their missions. And the way they're going to do it is they're going to go out in space and they're going to have sex with aliens and they're going to film it and they're going to sell their videos back to the people on Earth. And it starts off, I mean, you get going, page 1 and 2, you're about to see some alien sexy times. There we go. We got this like water dude, and there's our lead scientist. And it gets into the inner relationships between these scientists. It gets into them all getting in over their heads. It gets into them going above and beyond, and maybe exploring beyond just the things they need to do to fund their projects. It's really fun. It's written by Tim Seeley and Sarah Beatty. Tim Seeley is a guy who's been around and written for a long time, and is actually a good co-writer. Apparently, he's the guy who co-wrote Grayson with Tom King and kind of shepherded him in and out. And Sarah Beatty is a comedian. I know she's a hilarious follow on social media, Twitter and Instagram. Real dark sense of humor, but very funny. I don't know if maybe she's a stand-up or a writer or something as well. But just a fun book if you want some silly, sexy times in your reading pile.
That's a book I've heard so much about that book. A lot of people I know read it and love it.
Yeah, I think it's fun. And the reason, so I'm going to do my twofer now. Okay. Yeah. I have a twofer. Okay. You're not the only twofer. I have a twofer. Okay.
Twofer Thursday.
But Money Shot. So another comic book sexy time comic just wrapped up, just had its final issue. And that was the great Sex Criminals. I didn't bring a soft cover home. This is my hardcover, Big Hard Sex Criminals, Volume 1. Happens to be signed by Chip Zdarsky. No big deal.
I'm not sure how I just realized that cover is phallic, but I just realized that the cover is phallic. I've looked at that book so many times.
There is not if there's an opportunity to make like a innuendo or to like make you think or imagine something sexy, this book does it. It's really like genius level humor, and I love it. So it has been out for years now, so I don't think I think the chances of me introducing people to this are slim. This is on the back of every Sex Criminals issue for mature readers. Duh. But the idea of Sex Criminals is this is a world where some people have sex-based superpowers. And your two leads both have the ability to freeze time when they orgasm. And they use that power in order to rob banks so they can save a library. And if that elevator pitch doesn't get you to want to read a comic book, nothing will. That's it. We're done here.
The concept is damn near perfect, because it's like you go from like, okay, you stop time by having sex. What's the first thing you do? You rob banks. Like, it's just like almost a child's logic at that point, and it works perfectly.
Yeah. And it's what's great about it is like so it's sexy as hell. Like you'll read this and you'll be like, oh hello, comic book. Oh hello, closest person to me.
Just anybody.
Just whatever. Whatever. I just read Sex Criminals. Ready to go. So it's sexy. It's hilarious. Matt Fraction, the writer, is a genius. Super funny. All of his comics, like even his serious comics, have a lot of really good humor. And Chip Zdarsky, who does the art and design, is like one of those people who's like frustratingly talented. Like he's so good at everything that,
and he's so funny too. He's just a hilarious person.
He's hysterical, and like his art is so clean. And I'm trying to, let me see if I can find a good page. He has a great style. Oh, here's a sexy time page. Hello. Oh my. This is actually, I think this is when they sleep, the two leads sleep together for the first time, and they realize that they both share this power. But so the
color work on that comic is so good.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Is it Hollingsworth who does the color? Or Wilson?
It was always a super notable part of that book to me.
Yeah. I want to see who the colorist is. Becca Kay and Christopher Sabella color flatting. So maybe Zdarsky does the rest of the colors. But so it's funny. Chip, who does the art, I was saying, is also a fantastic writer in his own right. He's hysterical. He's really nice. He's Canadian, so obviously. And it's incredibly heartfelt. Like you get the very early on, you get the history of both of these characters, how they discovered their powers, how like some of the painful kind of growth moments they went through to become who they are when we meet them. There is other people in this world that have sex-based superpowers. Not just based on freezing time. Freezing time. There's also the sex police who become aware of what they're up to and have to stop them with their own sex powers and sex tools and things.
With excellent names like Kegelface.
Yes. I'm trying to think of examples of some of the other powers. This is also one of these. This is one of these books that you need to look at every panel and look for the little jokes that are hidden in the back.
Yeah.
I don't know if they print the letters pages in the hardcover. This book has one of the all-time great letter pages. They're again hysterical. There's 5 volumes. I guess there'll be a 6th volume out soon. The first volume's $9.99. The rest are $14.99. Like, if you haven't read Sex Criminals yet, now's the time. Also, if you need a book to recommend to the person in your life who doesn't read comics, my wife, if you can believe this, my wife Melody, upstairs right now, not a comic book reader. Not a comic book reader. Does not read comic books. But loves Sex Criminals. Like really, truly loves Sex Criminals. In fact, I brought this one home because she loves Sex Criminals. So also, if you have that person, that friend, thinking ahead to the holidays now, guys, it's coming. It's coming. Time to start shopping. If you have that friend or somebody who's read Sex Criminals and you need kind of something else, I'm not going to put this on Sex Criminals level. Okay. Said that. It's good. It is good. I really like it. I'm going to continue to read it. But it's no Sex Criminals. Sex Criminals is great. It's one of the all-time great modern comics. But could be really good for somebody else in your life who are like, hey, comics are cool. Want to see some boobs and wieners and jokes? Here you go.
Yeah, that in comparison to Sex Criminals is basically just Cape and Cowell's little version of Amazon's You May Also Like ...
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, like I like
Customers
sexy.
also bought.
Plus Watchmen. That's my favorite thing about Amazon. Like you bought a comic book, you might also like Watchmen.
You might like
Nope.
Watchmen.
Shit, Amazon. Thank you. Yes, I know.
And you know what? You probably do. You probably do like Watchmen. So there.
Okay, that's my pitch on Sexy Fun Time comics.
Woohoo! All right. My next book I'm going to talk about is probably like the polar opposite of Sexy Fun Time. It's like polar opposite, but this is this is a recently released book. It's called Dying is Easy. This is a book by Joe Hill, who has given us recently Hill House Comics, his own imprint over at DC. He's written Basket Full of Heads most recently. He's also the writer of the legendary Lock and Key, which has been adapted into a very subpar series. Go read the book instead, I promise. And the art in this book is the amazing Martin Simmons, who is currently doing Department of Truth. Martin Simmons is the reason I picked up this book. I like Joe Hill just fine. He's not one of my favorite writers, but I enjoy his writing. But I picked this up for Martin Simmons' work, especially after being so hype on Department of Truth. I really needed more. And the art absolutely delivers. Got some beautiful stuff in here, some gorgeous color work to give you a taste of what to expect. Basically, to give you a little bit of a rundown, this book is about an ex-cop who turns into a very sad, lonely stand-up comedian. A lot of stand-up comedians are sad. And he's one of them. But he basically tells really, really, in my opinion, awful jokes. This book is funny, but like it's like funny if you miss being 12. It's like toilet humor. It's like weird. Like there's a lot of like awkward humor in here that just kind of made me shake my head. But what I like about this book is that it takes the idea of an ex-cop turned stand-up comedian and puts him into a like murder mystery situation. This is very much a whodunit comic. And the whole thing is to find out who killed this guy who's been stealing our hero's jokes. It comes out that he might be stealing other things too and has stolen from him and his friends. And it's all about this guy. Yeah, Shit Talk Holmes. Somebody said in the comic. Yeah.
Mike.
You got it, Micro. Shit Talk Holmes. I think his name is Sid Holmes.
Yeah.
And this is basically his quest to redeem himself, to clear his name. The cops are after him because he has essentially been framed for murdering the guy who was stealing his jokes. It's no secret that he hated this guy. He just talked about like killing this guy himself. His friends heard him say it. And so all signs point to Sid Holmes. And this is just kind of like a fast-paced romp through the city of Sid. Can Sid clear his name in time before the cops who he knows already arrest him? Like he can't go to the Slammer because he put people there. It's like very that. And it's fun if you dig like mysteries, because I mean, honestly, like I was kind of disengaged after like this like second issue. I think it's only like 5-6 issues. But I had to know who done it, damn it. Like I can't just start reading a mystery book and stop and not know who did it. So it's really fun. It's gratifying. You get all kinds of twists and turns, twisty turny things by the end, completely unexpected when you finally get there. Actually, I lied. I called it. Called who the killer was.
Was it a satisfying ending to the mystery, would you say?
It was satisfying in that it was beautiful the whole time. Visually.
You know what? This is what's important to me on a mystery, Cody. Let me break it down for you.
Break it down.
It's just one thing. Well, you said you called it, so like do you think that there were clues left for you to figure out who it was? Like yeah. Okay, that's good, because I think when the end of a mystery is like, and it was this guy, the neighbor, who we've never seen before, but turns out here's 10 pages about why he hates the protagonist.
Yeah, well, you definitely read more mystery than I do. My big thing is like I used to watch a lot of crime procedurals. I don't so much anymore. I'm a true crime buff. I watch a lot of like true crime stuff, and my favorite are the ones where there's like took X amount of time to figure out who it was, yada yada. But yeah, just like from my experience with like, I don't know, I guess like mystery films, because I don't read as much mystery as I'd like. But yeah, there's just a character that just never rubbed me the right way, and certain, because you know, you get certain accounts, and it's important in this book and probably in a lot of mystery books to pay attention to where you're getting information, like who said what at what time is going to be huge. And there was a character who had definitely given accounts that just weren't like adding up with anybody else's, that seemed out of left field. And they were also saying some like problematic shit. Like if this book was trying to make me like this character, maybe ease up on the casual racism, you know? So I just didn't like the character already. And I was like, you know what? I bet it was them. But it's fun, and I wanted to show some art because Martin Simmons, I mean, I will read anything with Martin Simmons' name on it, which, like I said, is why I picked up this book. I'm looking for a specific panel.
Have you read Friendo while you're looking?
No, but I want to read it because I have become an Alex Packnadel fan due to Giga. So,
and that's Simmons too, I think. Whoa,
it's cool, huh?
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a really good looking book. Like I said, a fun mystery romp if you like whodunits. I would recommend it to anybody who likes those, with a dash of, you know, like that kind of crude brand of like stand-up humor. That was a little bit much for my blood. I'm not a big stand-up comedian guy, but I do like the creative team of this, so I thought I'd give it a go. And it kind of reinforced the fact that I don't like stand-up comedians.
That's funny. There's another book coming soon from, I think, Aftershock. That's another like stand-up comedy crime book, which is kind of funny that they're.
And I guess I'm just a glutton for punishment because I'm going to be trying that out too. But the reason I'm trying that one out is because I heard there's like a paranormal slant. So that's cool.
The comedian on the cover is like a skeleton, so that's and Elliot Rawl is a good writer. He's written a bunch of stuff for Vault recently that I'm spacing on. It's been a long day.
Yeah, I actually like want to read more crime books, but I like crime books when there's like supernatural twists, or like Incognito. I want to read Incognito really bad because there's like a superhuman twist. And that's what I need. I like sci-fi injected crime mystery stuff.
Yeah. Same Z's, but I also just like all crime stuff.
Oh yeah, you like gritty shit too. So.
I do, which is going to lead me into my final book of the night as we close in on the end of our 1 hour program. This is a book that we have been that I have personally been pushing super hard at the shop, or at least we were very, very excited about it when it came out, leading up to it. And then when it came, pleasant surprise, it was amazing. So Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips are, for me, an absolute dream team. Everything that they do together, I tend to think is amazing. I've yet to read anything by them that I haven't loved. But this in particular, it's a graphic novella. It's a hardcover. And again, it's another one with a brilliant concept, which is you have this retired outlaw at the tail end of, I guess he must have been an outlaw in the late 1800s, early 1900s. He retires and he gets a job as a pulp writer for newspapers and pulp magazines. And what he does essentially is take his stories from his life as an outlaw and just write them down, and maybe paint himself or his character, who's basically himself, in a slightly different light to make him look maybe a little bit better. So that's a great concept on its own. Then you mix in that it is World War II, and you have the American Nazi Party scheduling a rally in New York City. And you get this retired Pinkerton coming to town to proposition our pulp writer and say, the Pinkerton had been chasing this guy as an outlaw his whole career and never caught him. He shows up and he says, "Hey, I know who you are. I know what you did, and what you're gonna do to make up for what you've done is you're gonna help me rob the Nazis. We're gonna go. You're gonna use your outlaw skills. They've got a safe full of gold and money, and they've been grifting off these Americans, and they're loaded. And you're gonna help me make this score so I can retire, or you're done." And then there's a pretty. This is one I'm not going to spoil because I love it, and the reveal and the twist, which is it's not like M. Night Shyamalan. I hope I said that right, M. Night Shyamalan, but where he's gonna like slide in and be like, but the whole time it's actually the far future, and they're plugged into machines. It's not that. They just like add an element to what's already going on, and you're just like, fuck yeah, like that was great and brilliant. And Sean Phillips, this book's gonna win all the awards. It's gonna win all the Eisner Awards. Like if you're a collector in any way, like you might want to get this volume before it's got like a fat Eisner sticker down here and like ink blot or whatever all the other awards are. See if I can find some good examples of Sean Phillips artwork. It's not, I don't know. Here's some guys talking. It's not like you do get some flashbacks of his Old West times. This is a bank rob or a train robbery right here. But it's actually a deeply personal, beautiful story. I can't recommend it enough. I can't. I love everything that these guys do. And this is one of my very favorite things that they've done. They have a new book coming out, a new series of books coming out just in time for the holidays called Reckless, who they claim or what they claim is the best thing they've ever done. And I can't wait. So this is again, Pulp, Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. It's $16.99. Yeah. And I see this comment here from Mike Rowe. I have read the Parker series. They're some of my favorite books of all time. They are mean and gritty. And actually, I'm getting a Parker commission done soon. So I'll have to show that off. But yeah, so fans of crime, fans of Brubaker Phillips, fans of Westerns, fans of really, really, really good comic books, Pulp, check it out.
Yeah, Brubaker and Phillips are one of those iconic teams that I think a lot of people follow wherever they may go.
100%. Yeah.
Absolutely. And yeah, like you were showing that art, and like it's just so like Sean Phillips is so good for the stories that they do together. Like it doesn't get much better. Like the synergy they have is great.
Yeah, he sets the mood. He does. It's subtle, you know. Like he gives. He can give you character emotion without like a close up of a panel of like. Yeah, you know, it's just like you get a raise of an eyebrow. You get a look over the shoulder. You get a change in body language. They're masters. I mean, they really are. They're just one of the all-time great teams, and they have been forever. I mean, you talk about Incognito as a book you need to read, and that book came out, probably 15 years ago.
That's wild.
And then you look at the stuff they did before they started doing their own stuff, like Ed Brubaker's Winter Soldier. And Gotham Central with Greg Rucka, and it's Hall of Famer.
And X-Men Deadly Genesis.
X-Men Deadly Genesis. So not everything. Okay, not everything.
I like Deadly Genesis.
Really?
Yes, I do.
Really, Cody?
I really do.
Just because it says X-Men.
No, I get like that story gets a lot of hate, but maybe I should talk about it on here sometime. That'd be fun. It's kind of a hot take to like that book, but I really do.
Hey, I'll read it if you want to do it as book club style, because that is a Brubaker thing I've not read. I've heard many not wonderful things about it. Yeah, I'd read it. It's Brubaker.
Well, you know who clearly liked it was Hickman, because he's revisiting some of his characters. So, yeah, wow, comics, life, time.
I've got. I'll tell you, if any of these books look good to you, and I'm sure they did because Cody's been talking about them, and I'm going to read everything he talked about. Tomorrow, Friday the 13th, Friday, November 13th, is our 5-year anniversary. 5 years as a comic book store in downtown Oakland, California. And we are celebrating. We can't have the big party we usually do, but we are doing a coupon on the website. It's 25% off, which is pretty good. You type in "happy birthday" when checking out on the Cape and Cowl shop site, the stores.comichub/Cape and Cowl.
There's going to be a link in the description to this YouTube video. So
yes, perfect. And we're going to send an email tomorrow. So anyway, if any of these books look good to you, use this coupon. Get yourself a sweet ass deal. Get a pile of books, 25% off. Get you some sweet reading.
Yes, definitely do that. And also give us a thumbs up if you had fun tonight, and subscribe if you had fun tonight, and click the bell on YouTube if you had fun tonight, because that'll help you know when we're going live. And contribute in the chat. It helps enrich the experience for everyone. And if you didn't like this video, kindly walk away. As usual, I am Cody, aka the Mutant Menace. This has been Aton, aka Atron, and this has been the Infinite Awesome Cape and Cowl Book Club Show. Nice work! And I can't wait to do this again.
100%. Let's do it.
It's a deal. It's a date.